AI is a very powerful tool that has a lot of potential for good, so we must use AI in a way that is going to foster equality.
Technology always evolves, right? And with every single wave of technology coming in, at least historically, there has always been winners and losers. Winners tended to be those that were able to adopt the technology and harness it for their purposes. Losers tended to be those that typically the technology either made obsolete or completely replaced.
When it comes to AI, it is absolutely critical to actually create those opportunities for more inclusive dialogue. And that's because just the technology in and of itself is not going to invite either marginalized groups or groups that do not have a direct influence or participation in AI to be part of that conversation.
At the moment, AI systems are trained on data from dominant cultures, which means that some communities can be underrepresented. Therefore, if governments take the initiative to collect data from underrepresented communities, this will be very beneficial.
What I would like to hope is that maybe we have learned something from the lessons of history and we might not repeat the same mistakes that we have done in the past, where even though technology led to more prosperity, it also led to sort of, a wider gap between those that benefited and those that did not.
It is important first of all, for everybody to be aware of the revolution that is happening. It would be very challenging if people are taken by surprise, that all of a sudden tomorrow they come into work and a robot is doing their job. AI should be beneficial for everyone, not just for specific groups of people. And all the people who are affected by the AI should have a seat at the table.
What makes, of course, AI even more complicated is the rate at which this technology is improving. And my fear is that even with the best of intention, a lot of these folks that may be sitting in government or even in companies may not be fully up to date. And that's natural, right, given the rapid growth. But perhaps we need to find those mechanisms that allow us to absorb the rate of change of this technology and how quickly it's moving, and then be able to translate that into perhaps common frameworks, standards, and guidelines.
To reduce inequality, I would suggest we do two things. The first is to democratize access to the technology, which we're pretty good at doing, so everybody has access to sort of, latest models with $20 a month and an internet connection, which we all have. The second thing we should be doing is we should be giving people the training to use the technology confidently.
Well, we need to start with the basics, like electricity, for example, access to resources where people can start to buy a laptop. That's not a necessity for them at the moment. So therefore, accessibility concerns are important. And also I would say that in certain countries, individuals are just not aware that this is happening, and information sharing is very important.
So I could tell you my view about inequality, but who am I to have a view? Let's ask ChatGPT instead. ChatGPT, what do you think about the future? Is it going to be more or less equal?
The future with AI has the potential to be both more and less equal, depending on how it's managed. If we ensure fair access to AI technologies and address biases, it could reduce inequalities. However, if left unchecked, it might widen the gap between those who can leverage AI and those who can't.
As the world struggles with the ethical and moral, perhaps, implications of AI, we need to be a lot more proactive in order to make that dialogue for AI more inclusive. In other words, we could think about building new institutions, global infrastructure, as well as AI literacy. All of these initiatives that are aimed to bring a lot of these marginalized groups that are not currently part of the conversation into the conversation.